Hi, Tony Celzo here with Seamless. I've got a great guest today on the experience economy. I'm really excited about this. One of the fastest growing MSPs in the Midwest, doing a really good job helping people leverage technology, people, and process to deliver greater value for businesses. Nick Smarrelli is the CEO of Gadellnet. Nick, we've kind of been riffing back and forth about how technology is changing the way we buy and sell. You're the one that's helping people leverage technology, businesses leverage technology. What are
Mhm.
you seeing in the marketplace? As I say that out loud, is it really moving as fast as I say it is?
It really is. I mean, I honestly, I mean, it's one of those things where we're seeing with, I would say, not all clients, but many clients, and those that I think are looking ahead and saying, how do I take advantage of? I'm going to call it odd, but I would say this kind of nuance from an economic perspective in
Yeah,
terms of how do I ride this wave? And I think some people are riding a surfboard, and some people are riding just kind of trying to belly flop it and
right.
get themselves off the wave. And so I think those who have invested in the last few years and then are looking ahead and continuing to invest in technology are riding this wave uh, in a way that's fairly unprecedented. And the good thing about what we do is not only do we work pretty closely with our clients, is we have a really good sense of how many employees are onboarding, how many employees are offboarding. So we have a really good sense of how that plays back into their growth, their employee retention, how. So we're kind of seeing the really innards of a lot of our clients and how
Mhm.
different strategy when it comes to technology plays out in terms of business success.
Yeah, I think what's also happening too is the businesses we're working with are starting to realize, if I have to deal with a human and I get in a and I'm over it, right? I'm like I don't want to talk to somebody when I can just self serve myself, when I can just see how my order's doing, when I can. I mean, like this huge movement where we're now having ghost kitchens where people are just using DoorDash or Uber Eats to get their food sent to them, right?
Yep.
People are consuming differently as much as businesses are having to evolve to that consumption. Do you see that too? Do you see, like, we have a pool company that's trying to make their customer service all on the app, right? So you can see how your weekly service is doing. So you can order replacement chemicals. You can approve. You can see whether or not someone's going to be there on time. They don't want to answer the phone anymore. They think their clients don't want to talk on the phone. And so I think there's more even this push where we as consumers are demanding different levels of services through technology. Is that also? Do you see that too?
Yeah, I would say in part. I mean, I still think again, a lot of what we do is more on the technology support side of things. So I think
Mhm.
as we look at what we're supporting and bringing into their environments, it's a lot of self-service. Within the support world, it really depends on the client culture. We still are seeing a lot of people. The way that you engage with our teams is either through email, through chat, or through phone. I mean,
Mhm.
primarily kind of tools. Our chat is continuing to skyrocket. People can want to multitask, have somebody fixing their computer while they're still working.
Sure.
Um, but our phone calls have not gone down.
Yeah.
They really haven't. So people still, in some way, want to work with a human, especially when they're frustrated with something. They
Yeah.
find I still think the human experience is still there.
Yeah.
So I don't think that has been completely replaced. But I will have to say again, as we look at ourselves, we can't compare ourselves to other customer service organizations. We have to compare ourselves to the Uber Eats, to the Grubhubs, to the Amazons. Where
Yeah.
if I get 2 day shipping now, I'm appalled. Like, why is it not same day? And I think we're seeing that at our client level. So for us, as we benchmark, we can't benchmark just against other IT companies. We have to benchmark against kind of the global service industry. And I think our clients are having to do the same. As customers are not comparing them to what would be considered a normal competitor. They're comparing them against how do you fit into the spirit of my entire life now, and it's a much more holistic view of how customers I think are shopping,
Yeah.
especially in this
Yeah.
area.
Well, I've been talking to a lot of our clients about this seamless experience, right? Where, pun intended, right? Where we're trying to give and deliver all the value you can as simply and as quickly as you can. But when somebody needs to when somebody has a question or they're confused or they're frustrated, that there's somebody empowered to deliver real value rather than to be set up in another queue to get to another queue, right? So there's there's really there's this intermediary thing where the tech should deliver as much value as it possibly can, but then when I do get to somebody, the person that I'm talking to can make decisions or really help me. Are you also, that's kind of what you guys have, I think that's what you just said in reverse. Is that fair?
Yeah, that is fair. And I think, again, it's something that we're working on. We're, I would say, kind of midway through that journey as well, is how do we process things as they come in to make sure that the right person is picking up that phone, that right person is solving for the issue? How do we use, again, either technology or human power to figure out who's the right person to solve for this problem, which team needs to be engaged to solve for this problem? So we continue to look at that as an opportunity, and I think people are demanding that. And I think from a service perspective, people want the simplest experience possible to get to the right person possible.
Yeah. How do you guys strategically, when a client is thinking that they're doing well leveraging technology, but they could do better? How do you guys have that conversation to kind of elevate them and illuminate them to the possibilities of the art of the possibility? How do you have that innovation conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, it's understanding how they operate and where they want to go. For me, if you do not understand where the vision of their organization is, you can't have a rational conversation to create that incentive or to create that opportunity to have the discussion around how technology can help get you there. So for us, we spend a lot of time understanding where they're going as a business, understanding what their business strategy is, and then really tying it back to, hey, how do we tie that now to which parts of our business should we insert into their business to make them better? Are they looking to grow and use data analytics? Are they looking to protect themselves? Obviously, cybersecurity being a huge thing. So understanding what safeguards we need to put into place. And then on top of that is what application, what tools, what communications, what collaboration tools need to be integrated into the organization, what training. I mean, I think training is probably one of the most underserved opportunities that we have as an organization, is how do we bring in training to help teach our clients how to use their technology better?
Well, do you see that happen a lot where the client gets obsessed with the plumbing that they're sticking their data in, right? Whether it's Dynamics or Salesforce or whatever house they've become, right? They get obsessed with that, and they think choosing one or the other is the most important problem. But it's actually, a lot of times, it's just proper implementation and optimization of what they've actually got. Do you see that too?
Yeah. There's a lot of statistics that talk about it, and I've seen numbers ranging from something like as low as 6% to 30%. But clients are using anywhere between 6 and 30% of the capabilities of the tools that they are existing pay for. So they're paying for, let's say, the Microsoft Suite or the G Suite, or they're paying for these ERP applications or these CRMs, and they're really not using the whole capabilities of it. And so for us, it seems that is the biggest opportunity. You're already paying for it. The cost is there.
Yeah.
How do you take advantage of it more? And I feel like that's just a gigantic opportunity for us.
It's crazy. I just, personal example, we run all of our projects on Monday.com, right? So it's our PM tool, it's our accountability, our time tracking.
Yeah, we love Monday.
Yeah, they've got a really good CRM, but I signed up to migrate to Pipedrive. Yep. And we're starting to look at it, and I'm like, wait a minute, we're already paying for this over here. This CRM can be configured exactly the way we want. Pipedrive initially looked better, right, from the UI standpoint. From, like, remember we were talking about eating software with your eyes, and it was really similar to just a Kanban board, right? You just move people along. It was very. But I got sucked in. I got sucked into the UI UX that we couldn't do this stuff over here when we're already spending this money on software that we could just optimize and quickly integrate. And then when we got further into it, like Monday actually has a way to integrate with everything else, right? So here I am in the business, in the consulting side, trying to help clients do this, and we miss the ball. I think that happens a lot, right? I think people, they get in and they don't have a training strategy, like you said. They don't have an optimization strategy. They don't look at it consistently to say, how do we make this thing do what we want it to do so it can really solve our problems? We see that a lot. Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at probably one of the biggest growing parts of our business right now, it's within the department we call advisory services, but it's people now are looking more than ever to say, all right, now I've invested all this stuff. I've moved to the cloud. I've had to do these applications. Now, how do I use it better? And I need somebody to come in and help me with that. So that's actually, for us, has been probably one of the, again, if I can speak till I'm blue in the face that people are doing this, but in terms of tangible, where are they putting their capital? They're putting their capital now to someone to come in, 8 to 12 to 20 hours a month to say, where's the biggest opportunity for you to use some of your technology better? And so we're seeing it grow significantly for us. And so I think it's manifesting both in our hiring strategy in terms of where, again, that department growing, but also clients just recognizing that, all right, they've made the big shifts. The move to the cloud was, that was between 2010 and 2020. There's still people moving, obviously, but now it's how do you use it better? And now that I'm here, are we leveraging it as much as we possibly can?
Right. So as kind of transitioning on you a little bit, as we think about like optimization, we've got now this entire virtual workforce that's really going to be here to stay, right? I mean, it's going to be the blend from now on. We're going to have a blended, and I think there's a lot of good that comes out of that, right? It's like we don't need to go into an office every day. But how do you help clients now understand how to manage, collaboration, creativity, communication? How do you get them to understand what virtualization means for their business and so they can still run it the same way they did or even better? How do you guys have that conversation?
Again, I think you look at COVID. COVID helped have the conversation for us. And I think, you saw some of the organizations that were there already and COVID hits and it was a blip on the radar and it just continued to move forward. And then there's other ones that it was a drastic change. I think where we are today, if I look at 2022, is this acknowledgement that it is sticking around for a while. Mm-hmm. It is not going away in the way that we thought. Again, I remember March 2020, we'll have everybody back in the office in 2 weeks and then 4 weeks. And then it became, well, now it's return to work plans. That was the theme of 2021. And now it's, well, how do I make this work as is? And I think the realization of employers is formal and mandatory return to work is a strategy. It is one that you can leverage, but it's not going to play well with the market from an employee perspective.
No,
I think it's this kind of radical realization by employers that they have to figure this out, that this isn't, this short-term thing or this, pandemic lifestyle is no longer a pandemic lifestyle. It's just lifestyle. And so for us, I think the acknowledgement that that's happening. And I think, for us, it's creating the space for our clients to understand, hey, this is what again, we work with 300 or so clients. Here's what the other 300 clients are doing and bringing in best practices across the board, but creating space for people to say, when do you need to be in person and what technology do you have? So there's still people investing pretty heavily in conference room technology and how do you collaborate in a single room?
Yeah.
But more than that, it's how do you take a conference room and then make it so 6 people are on the phone and 6 people are live.
Yeah.
And everyone's having a similar experience. Or how do you create policies and procedures around communication? And which is, you've got asynchronous communication, you've got synchronous communication. When do you use both? When do you use each of those? Yeah. And how do you have those dialogues with your employees so they understand, so they're not getting left out? But we're seeing a ton of people trying to, I think it's just this resignment, I would say, to saying this is going to be around for a while. So I need to start thinking through it.
Well, we worked with a new software product called they just changed their name. They went from Haptic to Aleo. I think I've talked to you about them a little bit. Mm-hmm. But they're demoing their product. Procter and Gamble has a huge conference room, right, with six TV screens, big TV screens. Half the people are attending there personally. Half the people are attending on the screen.
Yep.
They're using a common whiteboard to run the event, collaborating on content. It's really a blend, right? It looks like the people that are there are sitting in the audience, right? That are virtually there. The people that are in the audience are talking back and forth to the people that are on the screen, and there's a whole workspace that's a creative workshop for these people to collaborate on the content that they're delivering. And if we're getting Procter and Gamble moving to that, right? If we're getting the DoDs doing the same thing, they're just in their stand-ups on Homeland Security. Like if we're seeing all that, just so we can get real-time collaboration from multi-location places, right? And then, but they're increasing the dependency on technology so they can be looking at the same information and content it's the blend is here, and it's gonna be here for good. And I would argue that this workforce is demanding it. The younger, like the workforce that's coming into market that has been here for the last 2 years. They're just so used to it. They're not going to not they're not going to work at places that don't offer those type of offerings. Would you agree?
I could not agree more. I mean, I think that's so relevant to especially the people that we employ. But I think at the end of the day, we're all trying to bring in really great talent, doing really good things, and we also, I would say, most employers also want our employees to do their best work in the way that they do best. And I think it's acknowledgement that some people have to be here. I'm at the office today. We've got 30% of our staff here that are here today that find that they do their best work from the office.
Yeah.
And then we've got others that come in for just special events, or they come in for meetings, or we have others that come in not at all. And so for us, we continue to try to create a place within our organization for people to do their best work, and wherever and however that is. And I think that's what people are craving right now. And so how do you manage to that?
Yeah. That's awesome. So Nick, we have a saying that we throw around a lot in kind of the baseline of the show. It's about keeping the promise. We think that keeping the promise of technology is one of our most important jobs, right? I think that's why you've been attracted to be on this and understand. But the promise of technology is to make our lives better, to make our work better, to make things more efficient and faster and cheaper, right?
Yep.
A lot of times that doesn't happen. And don't you think that that's really what if we're going to be champions of these things of innovation technology, of all the levers that it takes, like that sometimes gets missed in the execution of?
Yeah. And so, I mean, you bring up a really good point, and one that I would say still gives me pause sometimes is how do we use technology to make our lives simpler, better? How do we automate or use AI to take away tasks that are given to human beings so that they can, again, go back to doing better work, so they can do the bigger and harder and more thought-provoking tasks, right? But at the end of it, there's a ton of research that says even though we've thrown so much technology at the world, we're not more productive. We're not happier at work. We're not happier in life. And you would think, again, what we're trying to do right now is make you more efficient and allow you to have more flexibility. But at the end of the day is, how do you use technology to create a more engaged and happy workforce that's more productive, that creates more engaged and happier clients? I think we've lost sight of that sometimes, and we're just chasing minutes and time versus chasing outcomes when it comes to technology, and understanding, all right, what is this going to yield, and making sure we're bringing in the right things. Else you're just creating more stress. The U.S. workforce, or the world workforce, is less happy than they've ever been, and yet there's more tools and resources to allow them to work however they want. And so I think the challenge over the next few years as business leaders in both technology and then just general leaders is, how do we manage to those things? So
yeah, managing to the outcome and recognizing that technology is just a tool to create that, right?
Correct.
And to create that environment. I think that's a very powerful statement. I appreciate you being on the show, man. Thanks so much for being part of it. Thanks.